tihe mauri ora. E ngā mana, e ngā reo, e ngā kārangarangatanga maha. Te kāhui manu, topo mai ki te taumatu o te Herenga Waka. Tēnā koutou. Nau mai, haere mai. Ki te rauhi, āhua reko mo te kupu kōrero, mo te wānanga, mo te pai i te mātauranga. Ki te pena, ki te tohu, ki te tūpato, ki te mōhio, ki te matāra, mo te apōpō e tū nei. Tomo kia, raitia, hou. Hara mai te toki, haumi e hui e. Tēnā koutou. Koutou, ko whakaeke mai, ki runga i tēnei tō tātou marae. Ka mihi ki o tātou tini aitua, tātou kua tau e hea tuki te pō. Haere, haere e ngā mate, haere ki te pūta inui o rehua, ki te paututanga o pipiri, te uranga, te taka, te moinga, te whakaarahia. Ko ngā mea hinga ki kona, nā koutou i tuku atu, nā tātou. Ko ngā mea i hinga ki a mātou, nā mātou i tuku atu, nā tātou. Kia tangitahi ai tātou o tātou, mate nunui. Tēnā ka huri o ka nohi, ki ngā whare wānanga i te pūtaki o taranaki maunga, e huirangi. Ko koe e tū mai i tēnei tō tāte marae ngā tau. Tā koto mai, i runga i ngā kupua o mātua, a whiti, a wakotohu. Rapua te mea ngaro, ko mātau, e hoki atu ki ngā kupua tārawiri. He roi mata taku kai tāo i te pō, no rere e koro e moi. Tēnei mātau, kai te taumata o ahu mairangi, titiro ki te taira whiti, ki te poho kahumumu, ki te whenua haumako o Ngāti Kere, e piri, e te ipo kahurangi, e te kuru paunamu, e te waha kākā nui i ngā pai o te motu. Haere ki te huinga o te kahurangi, haere ki nunui mā ki roroa mā, oki atu ai. O rātau, nāma te huhua o te wā, haere, ko tātou, ki te ao marama, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou. Me ue hiki ai i hoa te timatanga o te whāro nui, ke tau i hoa ana manaakitanga ki te kīngi atu heitia. Rire, hau, pai marire. Tēnā koutou, nau mai, haere mai, ki tēnei te whare wānanga o te upoko o tika, e kia nei ko te Herenga Waka. Anei, e rārangi nei, ngā tani whā, o te mātauranga, kua rewa mai, kua maunu mai o rātau rua, hei aha, hei whakamana i tēnei mea, te whai i te mātauranga, hei whakahōnore i ngā tauira, kua eke ki te taumata, hei whakamataku i te kuare, no reira kia tūpato. A tēnā, o ngā tauira, i tēnei rangi, ka whakawhiwhi te wānanga, i ngā tauira ki o rātou tohu, ka mutu. No reira, kia hari, kia koa, i tēnei rā nui whakaharahara. Tēnā ka mihi ki ngā tini āhuatanga o te wā, ki ngā tohu o tēnei ao nei. Tēnā, ko te mate korona e pākaha nei ki te ao whānui. Engari ko tātou e huitahi nei. A koa tātou rangatira ka mihi ka tika. Tēnā ko te Marae kura, ko te Premier, e whai ngā tikanga o te Māori, ke manaki tātou i a tātou, ka ora tātou i tēnei wā. No reire ka tika me mihi. He tohu pai tēnā, he tohu pai. A tēnā, e mahanga tohu i tēnei ao o tātou whanaunga, Tēnā kua rewa mai te whetū o te Pāti Māori, ko uru mai anō, a ki te whare mata no reira ko koutou, tēnā koe e meno, koutou e kaha whai tēnā āhuatanga. Tuatui i a rātou, ka kite mai ngā mema hou i reira. E ki ara i mua, kotahi te kōhao o te ngira, ka kuhu, te miro mā, te miro whero, te miro pango. Engari e nei rā, ka kuhu anō hoki, te miro kākāriki, te miro māwhero, te miro kōwhai, ara ko ngā taikatoa o te uenu. Te mea he tohu pai tēnā ki a tātou, i tēnei tō tātou motu nei. Aha kua no whea te tangata, aha kua he iti ko te rahi rānei, ka rongo tō rātou reo, no reira, tēnei he tohu pai mā tātou e te iwi. A tēnā ka rongo mātou ki o mātou mātua, ki te whare wānanga o Waikato, e whakapai i te kaikiri. A tēnā, e harai te mea hau kia mai tāua te Māori, te awa āhuatanga, engari, pai ki te rongo. Ai te rāwiki, ka kite i te whakapāha o te nipepa, tō mini ana, e whakaatu atu tēnā tu āhuatanga, e harai te mea hou. Engari, he tohu pea. No reira, ko te paringa o te tai tēnā pea. Ko te kaihi i ka pai, ka mōhio, ki ngā whakaneke hanga o te tai. I te paringa o te tai, ka pātata mai ko ngā ika. Tēnā, ka titiro tātou ki ngā tohu o tō tātou ao. Me te mōhio, ka hau te rangatai, ka hei o ranga mo te iwi. No reira, ko tātou e hui nei, i runga i te taumata, i tēnei taumata a tātou, e tautoko mai ngā tauira, koia he tohu anō mo tēnei rā. Ka tira, ka mihi ki a koutou. Mihi nui, te reo rāhiri o te kāinga nei ki a koutou. Tēnā koe, e te hea mana, taku rongo ko koe te ko whiwhi i tō mea paustaki ko nei, no reira, nau mai huki mai ki tō marae. Koutou, ngā whānau, ngā mai ngā whakahi, ngā awa rongo noi puta noi tēnei ao. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Te ata mōri o tia i ngā rangi nei, ko ngā ngaru ka e waka i te aua tāne, pākia mai rā, e ngā pōtiki ara ka mamau, e huhura he hiku tani whā, te ange kei te auku me kei te auranga kei te aukaha te taua whiro e ture nine mai e tamama whakarahi ake ngā paupau o tō whare o te herenga waka me tōngata huhu ko te pātaka kai i ngā hoki o te kupu o te kōrero o te kāhui kāhika o ngā rā ki tua ki a toka ia nei te pai tapu kei ngā waha kākārui a tāne kei ngā manuti ori pari ka ranga oro marae ro pūkana whakarunga pūkana whakararo popautu te rangi tonu kei ngā hui ngā matariki hei rā hiri mai i te ngahu e tāngataka uri au ki te whare mō wai roki hai.
Ka hoki atu ki ngā kōrero ngā mātua tupuna, āpiti hono tātai hono o rātou ki ngā waikua ki a rātou. Piti hono tātai, hono ko tātou. Ko whakararau i ka mai nei i runga i te kārango tēnei rā. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou. E paku whakamārama noi ho tēnei kia tātou. Ko te kaupapa matua, ko te whakapōtaitanga o ngā taupira. Nō reira, ko te inoi o te whānau nei kia pai poto. Kia anga tātou ki taua kaupapa matua. Ua mātou tikanga nei, ka timate te kōrero i tēnei pito, ka mutu i tērā pito. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou. Pahui.
Tuia te rangi atu nei, tuia te paua tahoto nei. Tuia ki te here tangata, tuia ki te kuku kōrero, tuia ki te rau o te aroha ti he maurio. Tuatahi rā me mihi au kia koe te whareranga te re tuku nei. Kia koe rā, te whakaruru hau nei, i te reo me ngā tikanga tuku i hoa tātou mātua tikuna. Tēnā koe, tēnā. Me tautoko anō hoki ki ngā mihi tangi, ko tukua kia rātau ko paheke atu rā i tō o te ara. Ko rātau e rā i o rātau rā, ko tātau e ne takatu tonu nei i te ahu. Nā reira e ngā mate haere atu rā ko tau whakamaroa. Ka huri o kia tātau. Ko tāmai nei ki te tautoko i a tātau tamariki moko puna anō. Ko rātau e rā i whai nei i kahurangi a nā kua tāi ki te tihi o hia hia. Nā reira ke te mihi rā kia tātau katoa, ko tāmai nei. Te hari te koa te kite atu. Ngā whanaunga mai ngā motu o te moana nui a kiwa. Ngā whanaunga o tō tātou taha Pākehā. O tātou katoa e nei, whakakotahi nei a tātou i roto i te kaupapa kotai. Nā reira kei te mihi e rā, kei te mihi, kei te mihi. Kei te mihi rā kia koutou, e kia nei ko ngā tani whā te mātou. Tika tonu pētea, ko koutou huki wēna, e ngau nei i te miti, kia ngā ori te whāngai atu ki ngā tauira hera mai ana kia koutou. Nā reira, kei te mihi, kei te mihi, kei te mihi. Anei tēnei tauraurau e tuatu nei, i hera mai ki te tautoko i ana mokopu. Nā koutou nei i whāngai. E korenga e mutu ngāmi. Ahuri aku whakāro ki ngā whakatauki. Ana, ko tērā, e ki nei, ko te manu e kai ana e te mātauranga mōna te ao. Kai te mōhio ki o kumokopuni, no rāu o te ao. Kāore mutu i kone, kai te haereta. Mene ki te mutu rāu i kone i mākua puta. Kohe te iara, kia kahatonu rā o te hai. Nā reira, koe rau pēr ngā whakaro o mātau katoa kua tai mai. Engari, kā rau pēr te tūki konei, tōroa i e te kōrero. Kei ngā rangatira nei pēr ngā kōrero kamamutunga. Nā reira, huri no e tātau katoa kua tai mai. Tēnā koutou, a kia ora tātau katoa. ka huki te rangi ko ki tūhei tia ki te whenua. Te whaipai ta pōra o te rangi a huta tēnā koe. Te momo i a koe kua ngaro i roto i ngā tau, haere. Te momo i a piri kua ngaro, haere. Te momo i a huirangi kua ngaro, haere. Te momo i a Lee Smith kua ngaro, haere. Takahi atu koutou i te ara wairua ki te ara kaupohutu ka wai tarere atuana ki ngā rumātao ki te rerenga wairua. Rukuruku tai pō te hunga mate, rātou ki a rātou. Rukuruku tai awa te a te hunga ora, tātou te kanohi ora, e mururu nei te au te pō, tēnā tātou katoa. Kei te hunga e whakapōtai tia nei i te rangi nei, tēnā koutou. Nau te rā, nā tātou te rā, nau mai te rā, hara mai te rā. He tau āhuru te rā, he tau hau te rā. Pēnā koutou katoa. E kora ngā kōrero ko whakatakoto mai nei koe roto. I ngā miniti kua taha ke nei tēnā koe. Te reo karama, tō reo te ripo ai, kua rangona nei i roto i ngā tau tēnā koe. Tā te kai karama he whakato i te aroha i te tangata, tēnā koe. Tā te kai kōrero, he whakakōrero i te ahua o ngā tūpuna kia ki te ato rātou hanga i tēnei rā, tēnā tātou. Mo te momo kua ngaro i roto i ngā tau, kia hei tonu. Takoto pū koutou i tōru hātanga, anei tō kupenga rangatahi e hāwake nei, e hāwake nei, e hāwake nei. Tēnei rā, e rā whakahihi mo tātou ngā whānau. E rā whakahihi tēnei o te whare wānanga, me te whai o ngā mahi. Anei ngā taura he e waka, ngā taura he no waka, e he nei ki o tātou he taura, i te tumu herenga kōrero, i te tumu herenga wānanga, i te tumu herenga waka. Nō ia kātia ke rā, tēnei te maumai nei ngā mihi o te riua waikato. Hoki ake nei au ki te riua waikato ki tā rāwiri, he roi mata taku kai te au te pō. Nō reira rā e te matua, tēnei, ka whakawahi ngā kōrero, ki o kuranga tira e whai ake nei, ngari kia maumai nei, i te tōmairangi ata whai, o tō tātou rini, ki runga ki tēnei kaupapa, kia hari nui tātou katoa. Nō reira kātia ke rā, ka piti hono tātou hono, rātou te hunga mate, kia rātou. Ka piti hono tātou hono, tātou hono te hunga aura, tātou parau hi nei, nau mai te rā, hara mai te rā, nā mātou tēnei rā, tēnā tātou katoa. Nei au te pūpuru, i ngā tiri roi matai, taka kono tānei ka mawherani arue. Pāmai ki au, wakai au mawai e, mō atu mā te tau tini, kia aloha nei arue. Hoki ake nei au ki tōku o koe o me ora tikonga. E kuraita i au ta mā tāmuri tēnā tātou katoa.
Tēnā tātou, he tokotoko mā ramatanga. Kua mātou kōrero ka haere tēnei ki te whare, kai anō, me tātou nui tō te wānanga nei te akotou. Kirei mauri ora. I nei. Kiri te ake te mihi ake, kia tātou nei, ko hui hui mai nei tēnei ata, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko pupu nei, taku kare āroto, tono atu ki o ku tūpuna, ke tautoku au. Tēnei wā ki te whakati kōrero, te tuku kōrero. Haka nui tēnei rā, mo tātou katoa. Tēnei kōrero tūpe, tahi, taku pāpara nei. Tēnei ka tēnā koe koe. Rua tēnā koe. E muri nei taku horanga ki rai tautoku mai. Tēnei rā. Nō reira ko tēnei. Nō, ngai pāgea, ka miake ki e nei. Angatia, Māori e tautoku nei ki te tū. I roto i tēnei, āhotanga Māori tēnei wā. Nō reira, ka miaki rā. Kia rātou, ko tautoku mai e. Kia au.
Tēnei wā. Ore, tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou katoa. Ko rātou ko whetūrangi tia. Ko tangi ia koutou. Ko tukuna nā roe mata engari. Kei te rongo tonu. Kei te tata tonu koutou. Tēnei wā. Ko reira, ka mihi ake te a koutou, me a koutou mahi. Ko mahi ai o koutou rā. Ke whakatika, ke whakatakuto nei te ara tika mo tātou katoa. Rei, tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou, ki rao ki mai rā, tēnā koutou katoa. Hei te mea ki tēnei whare wānanga, tēnei whare, Herenga Waka, tēnā ho. Tēnei whare wānanga. I tau toko, e ako. I tau toko, e whakāwhau. I taku whai, i tau kairangi. Nō reira, kei mea ki te rā wā. I tūau ki konei. Me te hiru mai taku pōtai o reira. Ka mihia e nei āpotanga. Kia koutou ka kia tū e tane whā. Mātauranga ko tāpua ka kia tū e te mātauranga. Hei nā mātauranga tēnā koutou. Tēnā roa atu koutou. Ka kia tū ki o kākahura. Me te tai pango me te tai whero. E tohu tēnā. Te tai kōwhai, e rā tūnā tai me tēnā kōrero ai te kana. E tohu mai, ko hui mai, nei nā momo tāngata katoa. Ako nō whea, ako o koutou iwi, o tātou iwi katoa, kei te mihi. Ki tēnei tuāho e nei rā. O whakakau nei tātou katoa, i roki tēnei kaupapa tātou, ara, te whai. I te wā e eke mai kia tika kia pono. I rā wā kia noho kotahi ai tātou. Kia noho pai. Kia kimi hia. Ki rā kahurangi mo tātou katoa. Hoi anō. Ka mutu i konei. I tērā tu āhora. Kei te mihi ake ki tērā āhotanga e pā mai ki ake. Ka mihi ake ki e rā hapu e rā iwi. Ko pā mai ki tōku nākai. E te kawe tonu i roto i tōku nākai. Ara ka mihi ake, tō tai, ki te Aotearoa nui a pāpārau. I tau wā, i tau toko, mai ki au kia tūhei kai ako i te wharetu roa tūpoko. Nō reira kei te mihi, rā kia koutou te awa tipura wā. Te awa tipura. O au ko te awa, nō reira tēnā koutou. Ka mihi ake rā, ki tēnei, te tohu nei i taku, rākau nei, te wharekura. O whakarau i te reo ki tū wharetua, nō reira ka mihi ake kia rātau. Ka mihi ake kia rātau i nā taumaha kua ko pahuri nei. Ki te whai e taku tō, kairau, konei. Nō reira kei te mihi. Kei te mihi kia rātau. Ka mutu i konei me te mihi. Tōku whānau nei, nō nā ati parau. Nō te whānau kōkai. Ko eke, ko pōtai nia. Nā rangatira, tukorua mo a pōpō no te whānau nei, nō reira kei te mihi ake kia rātau. Kei roto tonu, kei roto rāwe tōku nākai tēnei whānau, nō reira kei te mihi. Kia tātou katoa i tēnei rā, nei reira. Nō reira, koutou katoa i konei, koutou tane whā mai. Tēnā koutou, tira tēnā tātou katoa, ko hui mai nei, tēnā tātou katoa.
I roto i ngā mahi tipuna, mahi wairua hoki, te hine rau te iwi, mahi, aure te hononga, ngā haruka, o te
Tātou ki rātou, kia nō kia tātou te honora, tēnā rawa atu tātou katoa.
hei mauri ora. Kua hokai kiri na tāpitu mea te tō. Ata tau ana kiri na kāpū te rani poke au. Kontoi te tanatu te mo. Komo te a maro o whenua, me anu ara ko au, ko nui o ko nui ko komoi. O weka ko te roa ko nui e huna ko te tai o te rā, ko mauri arani a tō i tūtu mea. Tēnei te maro kahurua, huru me mani weka. Atu tā pori atu, atu tā pori mai. Wero noa tamai tana rākau, ko te rākau nā oi, ko te rākau nā te koe nui e te karaki. Ko tākau o te nei ki tāpua. Paripiripi a tarakai nā tū, atoi toi a tarakai nā tū, ārena nā tahi tarakai nā tū, kotu, ki ana mata kani, kotu, ki ana mata kani. Te tau mai whena, te tau mai whena. Ka taka mai tū ki wā, o whanno haramai te tō. Hauri e, ui e, ai. Koe anō rai, no te kāhuri, te tātou mata te ane ke i horama. Koe hoki e tāria nei wā tātou whakamubis. Te kai whakarono ki wā tātou i nā rā katoa, wā tātou kai ā. Kia whapai na te rei. Anō hoki whakarongui ki nārei ki hoki te motu. Mai te whareare ki hoki o te heuheu, ki hoki hoki ki a tātumu, ki are ki hoki o tūpura tō, te tau hoki te manaki tana ki nari aia. Anō hoki ki te whareare ki o pōta tau. Mai pōta tau hoki ki hoki mai hoki ki are ki nui ki a pīni tū heitia pōta tau te pere ki roto tūwhitu. Ke mākau ari ki te whamoroa, poti rā, me ki rā. Whareare ki o pōta tau, tango i whāhia, rere, kau mai mai. Noro ira ka koto nā kai krana. Ko koto reo nā, e hono nā te huna wairua, te huna mate, E krana kerei rā te huna ora. Kia tau mai o ki wani kia tātou. I tūtakai o ki te huna ora, kia koto hoki te huna ora. Kia koto nā kai krana. E mihi ana. Nōre ki te kaupapatara. Anei rā, me ki rā nā hua. Ko kōtou rā, nā aorani. Ko kōtou rā, me ki rā i una tere kau ki hoki. Ka hui ana whakatipurana. Ki inu rā mai te puno ka mātou rana. Ke o rā e ori ko te hua ki o rana. Ko tira ki roti a mātou o te motu. Ko kōtou rā nā kahuwani te ki rā te puna. Ko inu rā e nei rā nā tātou taurira. Tēnei rā, ko tau mai rā. Ko tau mata teitei ki nui a kōtou. I te hoki wā kōtou whāra nui. Te manāki ki te apu a rātou. Anei rā. Ko tū whakahihi ki nui a kōtou. Tēnei te mia te kā kōtou rā. Nā hōrani. Tērā kōtou. Tērā kōtou. Tērā kōtou. Nō reira kā kōtou rā nā tauira. Me ki rā nā whānau ko tau mai te tautoko a kōtou. Ka tika no rā ke tū whakaihi kōtou tēnei rā. Ko nā mea hoki nā tau ko mahu ake nei. Yuna rei a kōtou. Me ki rā nā whakaaro nui, nā orowa nui. Ke tei rā wā tātou tamariki wā tātou mokapuna. Te tau mata teitei. Te mātou tana. Tēnei rā. Nei rā. Nei rā. Koea tēnei te mihi wea te kā kōtou. Koe nā e nā rau nānu sinama. Ki wā tātou matea. Nā rā mahu ke nei rā, i o trai a mātou nā tiawa. Ka tū rā tērā. Nā whakamangpaha rā. Tērā rā a mate. Tā rei tua rā, i pareku rā tia rā, i mua tēnā ta tātou. Ka mau tere rā, a whakaari. Nō rei rā, te rātou nā mate. Pāri ki tia rā ki wānui a tātou. Nā mate hoki roto i a kōtou. Nā mate hoki roto o te motu. Tēnei rā, te hoki rā. Nā aroha nā tani kia rātou. Rātou rā ko huri atike tua kia rārai. Āri rei no te moi rā mua. O ki mai ruti rā. Koe no e hari mua rā, nā hara rei, nā whāra rei rā, te rā ko tātou wāhani. Ka orani rā, nā tā te rini moko rā. Ka hua mai hoki, kia ka hā kōtou, nā kōtou rā. I ora rei te ahua tana te rā.
Mihera ki tātā te kapa ki tēnei nā. Tēnā kūtu, tēnā kūtu. Koe nei te rangi tia, te hako te pai poto tēnei, ka te kano ke whakapoto tia mō kērā, o tātou pai. Koe nei mihera ki a koe, mihera ki a koe. E reku wai kōrua rā, warāmi kia. Anu ke mea tina kōrua. Anu ki rā, tātou rā, tōna wama tātua. Nā kiri whanarei ki te hirau, o tina mai. Ka puti rangi ki o tirai a kōtau, nā whāroa rā, o nai tūhoi. I ngā tika kōrua nā whai, i ngā kōrua. Uri rama tō tātou whare, i ngā tika kōrua, tēnā kūtu, kia rā tātou.
Tēnā no tātou. Te ātua nei ka tina kōpiro. Hara mai koutou kia pai poto. Tēnā pē tōna mea hei whakakanohi te Marea. I hara mai, honi mai ka timate tēnā pito. Ka pēnei tō tātou. Hara mai.
Tēnā tātou katoa. We'll now quickly reset the marae ātea for our graduation ceremony. So graduates, please go into the wharenui, to the marshals, and whānau, please bear with us. The sooner we get this done, the sooner we can start. So while we reset, please... Oh, Oh, kia tau, kia manawa nui. Ara mai nā koutou nā tauira. Yeah. Yeah. Costume change? O nau mai hara mai te kapa o nai tauira. Kia ora mai koutou. E nā iho o nā maunga whakahi, nau mai ki ke hinau ki te tumu Herenga Waka. Tēnei te reo pōhiri o te Herenga Waka kia koutou katoa. E te manukura, te tumu whakarai, nā kaimahi, ākona, ōtira, koutou katoa nā whānau, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Morena. Chancellor, Pro-Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, dignitaries, whānau and friends, we are delighted to welcome you all to Te Herenga Waka Marae in this graduation ceremony. This graduation will acknowledge students from all faculties, excluding Te Wāhanga Aronui Faculty of Humanities and Social Science. Ko hiri Marae tōku ingoa, no Ngāti Whakauwe, nai tūhoi, nai te kahanunu, aku mihi kia koutou katoa. Today is a significant day for te whānau o te Herenga Waka because it will be the first time we hold 2 graduation ceremonies in one day. So we wanted to ensure that our Māori students and their whānau could all be included in celebrating the achievements of their graduates, so we have 2 ceremonies back to back. So this morning we'll celebrate the achievements of your whānau, member, friend or colleague. A very warm welcome also to whānau and friends throughout Aotearoa and from across the globe, viewing these proceedings via our live stream. Before we get underway, some housekeeping matters. So the wharepaku are located down the back of our wharenui through the corner door in the foyer. There are also toilets located just behind the Pai shelter and more in the Murphy building and just down from the waharua that you came through. If the fire alarm rings, please exit the whare in an orderly fashion and assemble on Calvin Parade, ensuring all paths, entrances and driveways are clear for emergency services. In the event of an earthquake, drop, cover and hold, ensuring your head and neck are protected. And after the shaking stops, we'll make an assessment and give further instruction. At Alert Level 1, all staff, students and visitors on campus are encouraged to use our COVID Tracer app to keep track of their movements, and posters with the QR codes can be found. And we ask that you keep you and your whānau safe by signing in. And so hand sanitisers are also available around the Marae campus. So we encourage you to celebrate the achievements of your whānau, friend or colleague, with waiata, haka, neri and karanga. Hoi. Please be mindful that this is not te matasini, so we don't need a whole bracket. But kia poto, enari whakanuia, whakatairanga hia, tō te maiti tō whanauna. Again, whānau, I must stress there is no need for a whole matasini bracket, so particularly as we have another graduation ceremony this afternoon. Okay. Graduates, when you come forward to receive your certificates and taonga, please stand with us to have your photo taken. Ka huri i nei ki te manukura o te Herenga Waka. I'd like to introduce you to the Chancellor of te Herenga Waka, Victoria University of Wellington. This is a role that dates back to the Middle Ages when the first universities were established. The Chancellor is the Chair of the University Council, which is the governing body responsible for setting the university's strategic direction. E te whakaminina, nei rā te manukura o te Herenga Waka. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chancellor, Neil Havia Smith.
Ena marawaka o te motu, toia mai o koto waka ki to tātou whare o te tumu Herenga Waka. Koto nā konga. No mai, hare mai, piki mai ki tēnei hui whakanui. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. It is my great pleasure to be part of this graduation ceremony at our Marae, Te Herenga Waka, and to join with whānau to acknowledge our graduates in a uniquely Māori way. Well, 2020, what an extraordinary year. I want to acknowledge the extraordinary challenges that 2020 has delivered for all our staff and students, and our graduates here today. Many of you have been impacted by our postponements of previous ceremonies due to changes in COVID alert levels. But that just increased our determination to ensure these ceremonies would go ahead, to give all of you graduates, and your loved ones the opportunity to celebrate your achievements. So for many of you, it's third time lucky, and how fortunate are we to be able to gather as a community to formally confer qualifications and acknowledge those who had their qualifications conferred in absentia during the year. We are delighted so many of you wanted to attend the ceremony. It means this is the biggest graduation week ever for the university, with this being the 8th of 9 ceremonies being held. As mentioned, this year for the first time ever, we are holding 2 graduation ceremonies in one day at the Marae. I am personally delighted that you have chosen the Marae as the place to receive your degrees and diplomas today. This is an acknowledgement of your heritage and your connection to this special place. Many of you would have arrived at the university through the waharoa at the new student porphyry and been encouraged to figuratively attach yourselves to this place, to provide an anchor of support and connect you with other people. I understand that the ancestors carved into the walls of this whare behind me connect all Māori to this meeting house. We are very proud that this is the first marae to be established at any university. Opened in 1986, the Wharenui was built as a place for students to learn and practice Māori language and culture. Nearly 35 years on, the Marae has hosted many courses and events from across the university and wider community, and continues to allow students to experience and apply the rich language and culture they learn. As a fully functioning Marae that is held in high regard amongst Māori and non-Māori across the country, it provides a unique teaching and learning experience that is second to none. The Marae is the iho, the essence of Māori identity here at this university. I'm delighted the university was able to honour this Marae and the significance of this place by changing the Māori name for our university last year to the name of this Marae, Te Herenga Waka. I'm pleased that the name is being used more regularly across the university as well. Te Herenga Waka means the gathering of canoes. It embodies our values, our commitment to the Treaty of Waitangi, and our history as a place of learning. Te Herenga Waka, Victoria University of Wellington, is the first and still the only university in New Zealand to have a Te Reti o Waitangi statute. The statute sets out clear expectations for applying, authentically applying, treaty principles across the entirety of the university's operations. I sincerely hope the graduates here enjoyed their time at the university. As you know, Wellington is a fantastic city to be a student. You made a conscious choice to come to or stay in Wellington to study, and I hope you made the most of every opportunity, even if your activities and adventures were somewhat curtailed this year because of changing COVID alert levels. You are graduating from an outstanding university. We have first-rate academic staff producing world-leading research which underpins the teaching and course programs. This university is ranked number 1 of all universities in New Zealand for the intensity of high-quality research. This means that our university has the highest percentage of leading researchers of all universities in New Zealand. The distinction of our Māori staff has been recognised with numerous awards this year. If you'll bear with me. Senior Lecturer Dr. Awanui Tahuia from Te Kawa a Maui won a 2020 Tertiary Teaching Excellence Award, one of just 9 awarded nationally. The Royal Society Te Aparangi gave our Deputy Vice-Chancellor Māori, Professor Rawinia Higgins, the Po Aranui Award for her work in Māori language revitalisation, and Associate Professor Maria Barge, the Pua Waitanga Award for self-determination for Māori through political economy and environmental research. Faculty of Health Researcher Nora Parare received a Health Research Council Clinical Research Training Fellowship. This year, despite all the difficulties for our researchers, the university achieved its best result ever in the highly competitive Marsden Fund. we were successful with 27 projects worth more than $16 million. These projects represent an outstanding breadth of research expertise, and a number incorporate mātauranga Māori, involve Māori scholars, and collaborate with Māori entities. This is an important focus for the university. In other research gains, the Wellington Faculty of Health is conducting a project in Te Tai Takarau looking at implementing HPV primary testing to prevent cervical cancer in New Zealand, with funding of $1.4 million from the Health Research Council. Te Kawa a Maui has received just under $3 million from the Biological Heritage National Science Challenge to research a new governance structure based on devolving power, decision-making and responsibility, which is delivered in partnership with Mana Whenua. These awards and accolades are prestigious and they are worthy of celebration. It means that the degree, diplomas or certificates of our graduates is based on some of the very best teaching and research in New Zealand, and from staff, academic staff, who are amongst the very best in the world in their areas of expertise. The university is also striving to partner and now has over 60 partnerships with iwi and other Māori organisations through initiatives such as the Tainoa scheme. Tainoa is a matched funding scholarship program that helps to establish meaningful relationships and build pipelines into Māori communities. This year, our Māori student population sits at around about 11.4%. I want to acknowledge the whānau here today who supported their tamariki mokopuna to come here to study. Can I also take this moment to share with you that yesterday the university announced the appointment of James Tapuni to our University Council for the next 4 years. He will be well known to many of you locally here. This means that our University Council, which has 12 members on it, now has 4 members who are Māori. Last year, the University Council also approved the business case for the Living Pa project, which will see the redevelopment of this Marae complex using the International Living Building Challenge. I'm delighted to tell you that the project has recently received resource consent and further backing from the University Council as we seek to turn this vision into a reality, despite the financial demands across the university. The Living Pa will centre mātauranga Māori and sustainability at the heart of the university and will be a multi-purpose teaching, learning, research and engagement space. And it will also mean we have a proper venue for events such as this. This complex will consolidate the university's strategic aspirations for Māori achievement and realise our iho as a global civic university with our marae at its heart. Today we have come to this place to celebrate the success of our graduates. Many people have contributed to supporting you on this journey, including your whānau, friends, academic and support staff. Your achievements are shared with everyone here today. This week, as you graduate, many of you will be unhitching your waka from this marae to set off on a new course in life. No matter where your next journey takes you, know that your time and experience here means you can always return and reconnect, and you will always be part of Te Whānau or Te Herenga Waka. Please stay in touch. Graduation is a time to reflect on what you've gained from your studies at university. As well as completing your qualifications, I'm sure you will also acknowledge the personal growth you have experienced. And as you leave today to start the next stage of your journey, you are not only well equipped with knowledge, but also the personal skills necessary to make a valuable contribution to your chosen field and society. There will be great successes and many challenges. Take what you have gained from this university and use those attributes wisely. Your qualification provides you with a platform for success in life and in business, but in my view it is the interpersonal skills, the communication skills and your leadership abilities that will contribute most strongly to your future success. Whatever your future, I urge you all to make the most of your life ahead. And through it all, I hope you're able to look back at your time at this university and your time in Wellington and recognise how it changed you as a person. I wish every one of our graduates great success, good health and strength in your endeavours as proud alumni of Te Herenga Waka, Victoria University of Wellington. Nō reira, Ngā mihi maha ki a koutou katoa, kia kaha, tēnā koutou katoa.
Tēnā koe Neil. We'll move on to our main kaupapa for today. If you'll join me in welcoming our graduates. Hara mai koutou. Ka pai. The Chancellor will now recognise the graduates as listed in the graduation program. With all degrees and certificate graduates, you're already standing, Kate Pai. Okay.
I, Neil Pavia-Smith, Chancellor of Te Herenga Waka, Victoria University, Wellington, would like to formally recognise the persons whose names are entered in the presentation of graduates, the degrees, diplomas and certificates there appearing, and confirm they have now been admitted to these degrees, diplomas and certificates in this university. Congratulations to you all, and as graduates, you may now put on your trenches.
Ka pai, e noho koutou. So we now move on to honouring the graduates listed in the presentation of graduates. The Chancellor will congratulate these graduates as they come forward. Associate Professor Megan Hall, Ngāti Ranginui, Ngāti Tūwharetoa, Assistant Vice-Chancellor Mā Tauranga Māori will announce each graduate and their iwi. Professor Rawinia Higgins, Tūhoi, Deputy Vice-Chancellor Māori will present the certificates. Macy Duxfield, Ngā Rauru ki tahi Te Ati Haunui a Pāparangi e Naitahu, Tūmaki Takirua of Naitauira, the Māori Students Association will present taonga to all graduates.
Tēnā tātou katoa. Before we start calling the graduates forward, I'd like to let you know that we asked each of them to write a brief profile about themselves. In particular, we asked them to tell us a little bit about who they are and what their futures may hold. So as I call the graduates forward, I will acknowledge them by name and tribal affiliation and then read their profile. And then you're welcome to karanga, waiata, whatever. So I'd also like to invite Dr. Rebecca Kiddle, no Ngāti Porou me Ngāpuhi, to come forward to acknowledge the graduate from Te Wāhanga Waihanga Huahua, the Wellington Faculty of Architecture and Design Innovation. Kia ora, Becky. So, will the Master of User Experience Design please come forward, Petone Groom. Petone's Masters is a result of a love and support from family and friends. He honours the sacrifices his family continues to make for him to be able to pursue his dreams. He pays tribute to the Āwhina whānau for adopting a Samoan boy from Menti to Tuakana, allowing him to learn, listen and lead. Lastly, he dedicates this to his late mother. Almost 6 years to the exact date since she left, her youngest has gained his masters. Forever smiling in your memory, Mum. I would now like to invite Dr. Riri Ellis, Director of Māori Business Programs no Ngāti Ngāti Raukawa me Ngāti Tahu, to come forward to acknowledge the graduates from Ōrauariki, the Wellington School of Business and Government. So will the Master of Information Studies please come forward? No Ngāti Raukawa, Kaitahu me Rangitāne, Caroline Cody. Caroline's background is in English and Māori studies. Before enrolling in a Master of Information Studies, she attained a postgraduate diploma with merit in English from Massey University. A summary of Caroline's research on a possible digital repository for Urupa records has been published in ACES. It has been a privilege for Caroline to focus her research on her iwi, Ngāti Raukawa, and motuiti marae. Tēnā koe. Will the Master of Public Policy please come forward? No Kaitahu me Kati Mamoi, Benjamin Ritchie. Ben has been pursuing a Master of Public Policy on and off for a number of years, alongside working in analytical roles and raising a family. He is now looking forward to furthering his interest in Indigenous data sovereignty and wellbeing measurement in his future work. Tēnā koe. Will the Bachelor of Commerce, also graduating with a Bachelor of Science, please come forward? Nō te ati haunui a Pāpārangi, Ngāti Maru me Ngāti Haua, Alicia Amohia. While completing 2 degrees in her 4 years at university, Alicia worked as a software developer at Catalyst IT. Alicia was heavily involved in clubs, spending 2 years as president of the Women in Tech Club and serving on the Team Vic Netball Committee. Within those roles, Alicia coordinated teams, managed social media, spoke at events, led the organisation of many events, including 2 successful tech conferences. Alicia will remain involved in community work as Vice President of the National Council of Women, Wellington, and will continue developing open source software at Catalyst IT. Will the Bachelors of Commerce please come forward? Nō Ngāti Awa, Tūhoi, me Ngāti Porou, Maya Eruera. Maya's graduation represents not just her own efforts, but also the efforts of her whānau, who have kept her grounded to achieve this milestone. She has just started as an intern in ANZ's Chief Information Office, where she is able to use her skills in IT to deliver and improve customer experience. In the new year, she will transition from ANZ into a graduate role at PwC as a technology consultant. And her career goal is to use technology to drive capabilities and outcomes for Māori. No Ngāti Tūkorehe, Ngāti Raukawa, Rangitāne, Ngāti Apa ki te Rātō me Ngāti Kuia, Michael Fryer. Michael hails from the mighty land of Kuku, the centre of the universe. He is the first in his family to complete tertiary studies at this university. After returning from his volunteer work in Ghana, West Africa, Michael was determined to undertake a degree to increase his understanding of the machinery of government and try to make a difference that would benefit all people. He now works for the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment as an integrity coordinator and is currently gaining valuable work experience in preparation to undertake a master's degree in business administration. Kia ora. No Ngāti Mutunga me Kaitahu, Taylor MacDonald. Taylor's graduation reflects his individual perseverance and the support of his whānau. First and foremost, he thanks his mother, who provided him with the opportunities that enabled him to achieve this milestone. Taylor is eternally grateful for the wealth of support provided by his iwi, in particular for the cultural journey that Ngāi Tahu motivated him to endeavour upon. Their guiding value, mō tātou, mō ka uri, a muri ake nei, signifies his career aspirations to make the world a better place for us and the future generations of Māori people. No Kaitahu, Joshua Orbell Greville. Joshua's graduation represents not just his own endeavours, but also the efforts of many friends and whānau members who have shown support throughout his university journey. Josh recently started at PricewaterhouseCoopers as an accounting graduate and has joined their Manukura business team with the goal to help grow Māori in the accounting sector. No Ngāti Rangi Nui me Te Atiawa, Alexandra Ritai. Alexandra has gratitude for her whānau and iwi for their ongoing support and their tertiary education grants. Drawing on her roots and lineage, her iwi and hapu have been a strong source of motivation for her studies at the Herenga Waka. Tēnā koe. No Waikato, Rangitāne me Ngāti Kuia, Te Ata Tuhimata. Te Ata was raised in Te Tauihu and moved to Wellington in 2015 to start her academic journey. While studying, she worked for her tribal entity, which has grown her passion for succession planning, research and development. This graduation represents not only her efforts, but that of her whānau, hapu and iwi. She is grateful for their investment and mentoring to date and especially for that which is still to come. Nō Ngāti Tūkorehe, Joshua Wilton. Josh was raised in Singapore and moved back to New Zealand, to home when he was 12, to strengthen and build his relationships with his whānau and iwi. This degree was done in honour of his dad and mum, who either didn't finish uni or weren't given the chance to go. Josh majored in international business and finance and completed an outside major in Chinese, and he hopes to extend his language capabilities to speak te reo in the near future. In 2017, he featured on the Dean's List for Commerce and has recently completed an internship at PricewaterhouseCoopers, where he will continue in 2021. Tēnā koe. Will the Bachelor of Tourism Management please come forward? Nō Ngāti Hikairo me Ngāti Porou, Riki Pōtiki Manuel. Riki Pōtiki was raised in the principles of Te Aho Matua, Tikanga Māori and Te Reo Māori. Those principles, along with the support of his whānau, have given him the ability to accomplish his past, present and future goals, and ensured that he has the strength to walk confidently in both the Māori and Pākehā worlds. Kia ora. Kia ora, Dr. Alice. You can return to your seat now. I'd now like to invite Dr. Mere Skerritt, Tumuaki Head of School, no Ngaitahu, Ngāti Araki Amua, Ngāti Ruahikihiki, Ngāti Mahuta, Ngāti Maniapoto, Ngāti Pikiao, Ngāti Te Rangi Unuora, me Ngāti Pūkeko, to come forward, she's already here, to acknowledge the graduates from Te Whānau o Akupai, the Wellington School of Education. So will the Bachelor of Education Teaching Early Childhood please come forward? No Ngāti Kahungunu ki te Wairoa, Ngāti Pāhau Wera, Ngāti Porou, me Tūhui, Jessie Crawford. In the past 5 years here at Victoria University of Wellington, Jessie has overcome many challenges. Firstly, trying to pursue the path of a lawyer before finally following a truer path to become a teacher. That's what she wrote. With support from whānau, friends and iwi, today Jessie graduates with a degree that will help and guide the children of future generations to build the foundations of their knowledge and pathways through life. Hāpaitia te ara tika, pūmai te rangatiratanga mō ngā uri whakatipu. Kia ora. Will the holder of the Graduate Diploma of Teaching Early Childhood Education please come forward? Nō Ngāti Awa me Ngāti Porou, Meryl Rocks. Mero credits all of her achievements to the support of her whānau, hapu and iwi, and to the community of Tokomaru Bay and Mā Ngā Tuna ki Uawa. Since graduating from this university in 2008 with an arts degree and additional graduate diploma of teaching, Mero has been working across the education sector, specialising in te reo Māori and kaupapa Māori. She returned last year through extramural study to further develop her understanding of teaching and learning by focusing this time on early childhood education. Will the holders of the Graduate Diploma of Teaching Primary please come forward? Nō te atiawa taranaki me kaitahu, Abby Bailey Noel. After completing a Bachelor of Business Studies, Abby was inspired by her son and his learning journey to move into education. With the support of her whānau and iwi, Abby was able to support this new career. The Graduate Diploma of Teaching allows her to teach and support the tātara kihi of Taranaki. Abby is currently teaching a Year 7 class at an intermediate in Ngāmotu, New Plymouth. Her aspiration is to ensure that students have the opportunity to learn Taranaki tikanga and kawa in the mainstream sector. Tēnā koe. Nō Taranaki, Ngāti Raukawa me Ngāti Tūwharetoa, Tāpeni Simmons. As a child, Tāpeni found learning difficulty due to a developmental delay. However, by the age of 7, he was helping new entrant students with basic reading and handwriting. In later years, after working as a teacher aide, he realised how important it was to pursue this meaningful profession. He says the help given by lecturers and learning support encouraged him to come back year after year and succeed in his studies. That support has enabled him, in turn, to develop other students to grow and progress to become powerful future leaders. Kia ora. Kia ora, Dr. Skerritt. I would now like to invite Dr. Clive Aspin o Ngāti Maru, Ngāti Whanaunga me Ngāti Tamatera to come forward to acknowledge the graduates from Te Wāhanga Tātai Hauora, the Wellington Faculty of Health. Will the Bachelors of Health please come forward? No Ngāti Hāmoa, me te whānau o te Herenga Waka, Ali Leota. Today, Ali is living the dreams of his grandparents who journeyed to Aotearoa 50 years ago for this very moment. It was his family's alofa, hard work and service that helped him succeed. He also pays tribute to his whānau here at the Herenga Waka for adopting a Samoan boy from Porirua as one of their own. Apart from surviving deep kōrero with two in the wharekai, Ali's biggest achievement was helping establish a 25% discount for tauira on public transport so they could all access education. In 2016, Ali hitched his waka as a tohu Māoritanga student, and today he sets sail as one of our first Bachelor of Health graduates. No Ngāti Porou, tahu pōtiki te maro Doran. Tahu Pōtiki is also part of the first wave of students to have started and completed the Bachelor of Health program as an undergraduate at the Herenga Waka, majoring in health promotion and minoring in health psychology. Tahu Pōtiki also represented Ngai Tauira as the Āpiha Hauora over the last 2 years. Kia ora. Tahu has plans to complete a postgraduate degree in Māori Visual Arts and has aspirations of combining what he knows about hauora and mahi toi and creating a toy space for rangatahi to be present in their creative ventures without worrying about the pressures of the outside world. Tēnā koe. No te aitanga Māhaki, Auburn Waitaiki Messenger. Auburn's graduation represents not just his own efforts, but also the efforts of the many friends and whānau members who have helped him along the way. Without them, he would not be here receiving his degree. He hopes to stay in Wellington and utilise the skills he has learnt from university in the health sector. Kia ora. Will the holder of the postgraduate diploma in health please come forward? Thompson Abraham. Thompson is from India and completed his qualification in hospital administration from India. After completing his studies, he would like to work in the healthcare sector to promote the health and well-being of people. Kia ora. Will the holder of the graduate diploma in health please come forward? Farbiane Bueno Omaroje. Fabi was raised in Rio, Brazil and moved to Aotearoa in 2016. Her husband and son are here today, but her other family members are in Brazil and can't get here due to COVID border control. Fabi feels a strong connection to Māori values and culture, which reminds her of her own home values. She made a bold decision to return to studies at 45 years old, in a different country, in a different language. So having completed this graduate diploma in health psychology, she is keen to do her master's and do research to support minority communities and help to decrease inequities. Kia ora. Kia ora, Dr. Aspin, you're finished. I would now like to invite Rita Mamari Stevens no Te Raroa to come forward to acknowledge the graduates from Te Kauhanga Nui Tātai Ture, the Faculty of Law. Will the Bachelors of Laws with Honours please come forward? No Taranaki me ngā ruehene, Madeline Ash. Madeline graduates today with a BA in Linguistics and Modern Languages and an LLB Honours First Class. She is the first law graduate in her family and acknowledges the collective effort in completing her degrees and the support of her partner and wider whānau ngā mihi. Besides ngā ruehene and Taranaki, Madeline has whakapapa connections to England and Sweden and had an international upbringing. She is a world citizen, grounded in Aotearoa, her tūranga waiwai. She is excited to fulfil her passion for linguistics and the law and starts at Simpson Grierson in February. Whaia te iti kahurangi, ki te tuoho koe, me he maunga teitei. Kia ora. No Ngāti Whiti Kaupeka, Ngāti Tūwhare Toa, me te ati haunui a Pāpārangi, no pera Dennis McCarthy. No pera would like to dedicate this degree to his parents. Without their hard work, love, dedication and support, he would not be crossing here today. This is their degree just as much as it is his. He would also like to acknowledge the rangatira who came before him, those Māori who blazed the trail at university to make it easier for us to walk the stage today. Kia ora. No te au pauri, ngā puhi ki whaingaroa, Ngāti Kahu ki whaingaroa, Waikato me te whānau a Apanui, Eru Kapa. Eru was raised by a village. Today, he'd like to acknowledge all of the constituent parts of that village, his parents, brothers, sister, aunties, uncles, cousins, as well as his tipuna, for making him the man he is today. His decision 5 years ago to grapple with degrees in Te Reo Māori and Western law was in their honour, and so too will be everything henceforth. Kōkiri. Will the Bachelor of Laws, also graduating with the Bachelor of Arts, please come forward? Nō Ngāpuhi, Annalise Samuels. Annalise is graduating after 6 years of study, late nights eating kebabs in the law library, and figuring out how to carry the least amount of textbooks to class, especially up the Kelvin Hill. While she is grateful for all she has learned throughout her university studies, Annalise is most thankful for what she has discovered about her taha Māori while at Victoria. Annalise has also found her whanaunga here at this university in Ngā Rangahautira, the Māori Law Students Association, I think. She attributes all present and future success to them and the support of her whānau. Annalise has recently begun her new role as Research Counsel for Te Kōti Whenua Māori and is excited for the adventures that lie ahead. Will the Bachelor of Laws, also graduating with the Bachelor of Commerce, please come forward? Nō Ngāti Rangi Nui, Ngai Te Rangi, me Uenuku Kōpako, Harry Clatworthy. Harry was raised in Auckland and attended school there. He moved down to Wellington, living and studying here for 6 years. He has loved his time in Wellington, met a lot of great friends, particularly playing rugby for Wellington Rugby and Football Club and working for the Pōneke Club. He is now working in treaty law and hopes he can take this opportunity to use his studies to make a difference for Māori. Will the Bachelor of Laws please come forward? Well played. Will the Bachelor of Laws please come forward? No Ngāti Kuia, Kaitahu, Ngāti Apa ki te rātō, me Kāti Māmoe, Brooke McCormack. Brooke was raised by her mum in her hometown of Wainui o Mata. She has completed her law degree whilst raising her two young tamariki, Mila and Saul, with her partner Attila. Brooke has a passion for justice and in particular Indigenous rights. She would like to thank her whānau for all of their support while she juggled mum life, university and work. And Brooke would like to dedicate this milestone to her granddad, Mason. No ngai tā manuhere Ngāti Porou me rongo whakata, La Rochelle Morgan. La Rochelle knows that she is the dream dreamt by her parents, grandparents and ancestors, and as a result of their hard work, sacrifice and commitment. This degree is and always was dedicated to them. La Rochelle has carried them with her throughout her journey, and a whakatauki instilled by her by Whaia Olivia Gibbons to remind her of her God-given purpose to make a difference in anything she does. Tama tū, tama ora, tama noho, tama mate. Kia ora.
Herenga!
Nō Ngāti Whakaue me Waikato Tainui, Anaru Tapsil. Anaru is graduating with a Bachelor of Laws and has enjoyed courses including youth justice, criminal justice process, Māori customary law and Te Tiriti o Waitangi. He has lived and worked in Wellington and is starting a graduate role in Auckland next year. Anaru acknowledges the role of his supportive whānau in his achievement. Kia ora. Kia ora Marae, you can return to your seat now. I would now like to invite Professor David Ackerley no Ngaitirangi to come forward to acknowledge the graduates from Te Wāhanga Pūtaiao, the Wellington Faculty of Science. Will the Master of Science and Society please come forward no Ngāti Rangi Nui Ngaitirangi, Ngāti Rangi Wewehi me Ngāti Tūkorehe, Erin Cairns. Throughout her study, Erin has been supported and encouraged by whānau, particularly her mum, grandma and partner. Erin completed her Masters while working at the Ministry for the Environment and will continue there as a senior advisor. Her hope for the future is to continue to work towards better outcomes for people and the environment. Kia ora. Will the Bachelor of Biomedical Science please come forward? No rongo whakata me te aitanga māhaki, Natalia Maynard. While Natalia has spent her whole life in Pōneke, her roots take her back to Te Tairāwhiti. She knows that her whānau are proud of what she has achieved and they have great expectations for her. This fuels her dream to make a positive contribution to her whānau and wider community. With her degree, she also wishes to spread positivity to not just Māori people, but to people from all walks of life throughout the country. Kia ora. Will the Bachelors of Science, also graduating with a Bachelor of Arts, please come forward? No Ngāti Apa, Te Ati Haunui a Pāpārangi, me te iwi morehu, Tian Gash. Despite working full-time, Tian has remained focused about completing her undergrad studies. Heavily influenced by the mana wahine in her life, she works hard and strives to remain helpful to others in her life and community. Tian would like to thank her whole whānau for their support, directly, indirectly, kainoa kia rātou e kāngia tonu rā, ngā ahi I te kāinga. Passionate about kaupapa Māori concepts and mental health well-being, Tian looks forward to continuing the utilisation of mātauranga gained here in mai te ao whānui. Tēnā koe.
O ki mai nei ngā tua te pō, ka tuhi kararapa kauei rā te katoa, tamauru kia, 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 ha ha taia te ota, kia, 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 ha ha taia te, ka kirunga I te maunga, e tūrei, kia waka ta kataria, I te maro para para pō, ai ahi me he te te,
No Ngāti Apa me Ngāti Hauiti, Jessica Barclay. Jay is motivated by the love and support of their whānau and friends and is highly passionate about youth leadership, rainbow activism and teaching and learning te reo Māori. They currently work in Te Whanganui Ātara in many different tutoring roles and they volunteer in their spare time. They finished the Victoria Plus Award, Program Award alongside their degree and they look forward to continuing to give back to their communities and continuing to increase their knowledge and involvement in te reo and te ao Māori. Kia ora. Will the Bachelor of Science, also graduating with a Bachelor of Commerce, please come forward? No Ngāti Whakauwe, Nicholas Tapsell. Nicholas grew up in Auckland City and attended Western Springs College. He gives thanks to his family, friends and teachers for all the help and support he has received along his academic journey. Kia ora. No Ngāti Rangi Wewehi, Ngāti Pikiao, Whakatohea, Ngāti Awa and Te Raroa, Ricky Lee Ainsworth. After a 12-year career as a hotel manager, Ricky Lee returned home and decided to broaden his horizons, bringing him to university. Wanting to help both the environment and the people of Te Arawa, he decided to pursue a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Studies and Māori Resource Management. He has returned to Rotorua, taking up a position as a forest ranger and is also working in the biosecurity sector, helping iwi with pest management. He would like to thank all his whānau and friends for their tireless support through this journey. He couldn't have done this without you. Kia ora. No Ngāti Porou, Liam Te Maro Doran. In year 11, studying at Te Kura Iwi o Whakatipu Rangarua Manoa, Liam received a diploma in Māori Literary Arts, Heke Whare Tāpere through Te Wānanga o Raukawa. While studying at the Herenga Waka Victoria University of Wellington, Liam helped establish the Ako in Action Scholarship Program and completed the requirements for his science degree, majoring in psychology. Tēnā koe. Nō Ngāti Tūkorehe, Tessa Thompson. Tessa grew up on the Kapiti coast where her passion for the marine environment was born. She would not be where she is today without the support of her friends and extended whānau, and would like to thank her parents and brother in particular for their never-ending support, especially over the last 3 years. She is looking forward to beginning her Masters in Marine Conservation in 2021. Will the holders of the Graduate Diploma in Science please come forward? Our last graduate for this morning's ceremony, no Ngāti Kahu, Nicola Edmonds. Nicola studied psychology alongside her continuing full-time career as a photographer and journalist. She hopes that her studies will, in hand with her current work, ultimately help and heal others in need in her community and beyond. Tēnā koe. Tēnā koutou katoa.
Aku mihi anō kia koutou nā tauira, tātou nā whānau. I nāi ka tāhuri tātou ki te kupu o te rā. It is with great pleasure that I now invite Tina Wilson to give today's graduation address. Tina Wilson, Ngāti Tūkorehe, Ngāti Raukawa, Muaupoko, Rangitāne, Ngaitahu, Ngāti Rārua, Atiawa, leads New Zealand Trade and Enterprises Māori Strategy, Development, Capability, Uplift and Strategic Partnerships with New Zealand Corporation and Te Ao Māori. Tina is a Māori business specialist with extensive business and investment experience with deep connection with Māoridom. She has worked with the Māori sector for the last 25 years, specialising in investment, business strategy, financial management, training and economic development. She has extensive governance experience in both Māori and non-Māori entities. She's passionate about ensuring our people have access to whatever and wherever we want to participate, a voice at the table, and that education is critical to our people's success. Tina is an alumna of Te Herenga Waka, graduating with a Bachelor of Commerce. Please join me in welcoming Tina Wilson.
Tēnā koutou. Nā mihi kauna ki a tātou katoa i tēnei wā. Māku te honore ki te noho tahi ki a tātou, ka raro i te tuanui o tēnei whare. Ai, he tika me mihi ki a koutou, te Herenga Waka, te tunu Herenga Waka, ki tēnei marae, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Mai aku maunga o Tararua, puke atua, hamuti, o Tararere, ki enei maunga, tēnā koutou ngā mātā waka o te whānau, tēnā koutou, kia ora rau, koutou katoa. Okay, tu kore ki te whare. Woo! Let's start there. This has totally got to be my most favourite graduation ever. Who would have thought Amy Winehouse would have turned up today? Tēnā koe whaia. But first, I also want to do a quick mihi also to our cousins. Te moana nui a kiwa, the whānau o Hamoa, o Tonga. Namaste, ola, tēnā koe. All of you that are here today under this wonderful, prestigious event. I'm so privileged to be here. I've totally lost my speech. It's all coming out how it goes now. What I wanted to start with was a little waiata that my daughter, she sings, she's part of the slam poetry team, Ngāhine Pū Kōrero, and so I'm quite inspired by these young wahine that come from there. And so it goes, ko tōku reo, tōku taonga tuku iho, ka titi, ka tū te maurirau, wara o ngā taonga, he rawa noro tō te triti e. That's what the kōrero started with today, with Victoria University being, Te Herenga Waka, Victoria University in Wellington, being acknowledged as one of the leaders when it comes to treaty partnerships. And so that was in reference to all of you here. So tēnā koutou, Te Herenga Waka, nei rā te mihi kia koutou. So I wanted to talk to you about, well, you know, what do you talk to? Look at you. How beautiful are you? Everyone, big round of applause for our graduates. I didn't do my graduation and I regret it every single day. And I look at you, so I'm channeling all of you today. This is a little bit about me as much as it is about you. You know, Paikea, you got me at Paikea down the back there. Chahoo! That was just amazing when you see the wairua, the ihi, the wana, all of those things that make these days special. Our Samoan whānau and our moana nui a kiwa whānau, I'm so glad that all those music bars are hanging around the necks of our cousins. We had Talaf Ali, as a Bachelor of Health, kia ora. On that note, though, I did want to talk to you about carving your po. How do you carve your po? So, as I walked in here this morning, and how I got to be here in the first instance is actually all about relationships. When my sister, Harawinia Higgins, messaged me to say, could I come and speak at graduation, there's only one answer, and it will always be yes, because that's what whanaungatanga is about, that's what whakapapa is about, it's about everything. And why that was an important piece to mention is that I had some bones here at Te Herenga Waka many years ago. I came here when I was at Hatohohepa, and I would work for my brother-in-law, Peter Ads, at the time, and unbeknown to me, I was actually inputting all of the grades from all of the exams. Damn it, I should have really paid attention. That could have been a lot better. But that's where my path started crossing. So Rawinia and I, and of course Rebecca Kittle, Hatohohepa Te Whare also, I'm just so proud to be here when these wahine are doing their thing and they're at the top of their game and they are phenomenal. The other part to that was when I walked through for my pōwhiri here at Te Herenga Waka when I joined as a student, it was Te Rupawai Higgins' voice that also rang out across the ātia here. So it was bringing it all home, and that was just wonderful. And I had the privilege of seeing Po Temara dance his magic across the ātia and welcoming us, you know, bug-eyed, fresh, somewhat sleepy tawera as we came here to start our journey and start that piece of our po. Who would have known that they too are greats of our time? How lucky are we to be around them? But my journey started in a place called Kuku. I think you heard two of my nephews that were here. I've got a few tūkore whānau as well. But mine started in Kuku, yes, the centre of my universe. As a village baby as well, tēnā koutou te kapa whānau. You know, it does take a village to grow our people. And I grew up like this. I was a fair-faced Māori who knew nothing other than that. I just thought I was Māori, it didn't matter to me. All my cousins were big and somewhat brown. We called them black at the time. I could run faster than them, so it was okay. And from that point, you know, everything was based around the marae. How lucky was I to be in that position? You don't underestimate what those moments are for you. I We were village babies because we all had other mums. Auntie Matty was my other mum. Auntie Carol was somebody else's other mum. And I'm so lucky here that I've got two of the mums sitting in this audience today. So that's a wonderful tribute to them. And then we all went to went to the Marae to play centre. These were the days before kohanga. Tēnā koutou ngā mokopono, ngā kohanga reo, ngā kura kaupapa Māori, tēnā koutou katoa. And then we went off to all-house school. You too would have had an all-house school, whether it was in a city, in the regions, and that's where you learnt to run faster, you learnt to play bull rush, and do all those cool things together. But it was the foundation pieces that started to build and start carving your po. It was when maybe one of the Pākehā kids might have challenged you and said, you're not Māori enough. You don't look Māori. I look around these faces here. Not all of you are as dark as some of my cousins. And so there is no judgment on colour around who we are. We come in all colours. We come in all shapes and sizes. Sorry, fire, you know, Valerie and the bodies and all those things. We evolve over time, but it's the goodness of life that gives to us. From all-house school, my po started to be carved some more, and I was, I'd say, one of the first exports from Kuku alongside my brothers and sisters, but I went to Hatohohepa Māori Girls College and met my other sisters for life. And when they call, you say yes. And hopefully one day that will get reciprocated. But again, that was another piece to the journey. I turned up there with a wonderful group of wahine for those periods of years. I started there looking quite funky, I had quite long hair. And so what happens in the moment of time is that when Georgina Kingi calls you to the office, Tina Marae Wilson, my name's Tina Marae, got Māorified, Tina Marae, another first. And I get called across to walk along the Marion steps, and she looks at me, she gives me a hug and a smile, pulls my hair down and cuts it in that moment. You learn very, very fast to eyes on, ears on all the time, and carved another piece of my po. From Hatohoepa, I jumped on planes, and that was because I was influenced hugely by my brother, my sister and my brother. They're a little bit older than me, and as I watched them carve their po, I too thought that was a fantastic idea. They were fearless in what they did. My sister for different reasons, my brother the same. His best advice to me at university was, anything more than a B or a C is wasted time in the pub. It was deep and meaningful, and I hold true to that today, brother. He too was in the crowd. But they encouraged me to be brave, and they got their encouragement from our parents who carved their po with the cards or the chisels that they had. Mum and Dad changed our lives. Dad never ever went to high school, one of 18, and my mum, you'll probably hear her before you see her. Kia ora Mum, but she gave us the world, and she gave us courage, and she gave us fight, and she gave us spunk, like many of your mums did. And all of you who are in the crowd today as working parents, parents of babies, the next generation, I salute you. It is not an easy task, and it's and whether you're whether you're an absolute mama of that baby or you're part of a wider whānau committed to all of those mokopuna, I salute you. And we must continue to do this. Joining on my po again, coming back, a couple more notches were chiselled. I jumped on a plane to Argentina, to South America. The first time my mum had real fear in her eyes. She always knew she had somebody on watch. You know, whether we were down the river, going to town, going to all the parties that we snuck to, that she thought, we thought, we didn't know that she knew everything. She was like an oracle. But she didn't have anyone on watch for this first time. But it was my brother and my sister who gave me the courage to jump on that plane and go and experience life. Now, this was before cell phones. This was before social media, and even, internet didn't even exist. So imagine the feeling that they had back then. But there are many people around us in this audience who've done those same things. But that continued to carve my po ever so more. And I was just so enlightened with the world. It made me miss home. It made me treasure the beauty about us as a peoples. And, you just come back ready to share more. But I realised quite fast then that we had to continue to give back. So if we go out and experience something, you've got to do a +1 or a +7 or a +10. You've got to take people on the waka with you, or else it just becomes a really dumb, lonely story. How do you then share that knowledge to people and inspire them and be there first to help them start carving their po? You've been instructed learning now, and you've proven that you can do it, from diplomas to undergraduate bachelor degrees, to postgraduate degrees, to honours, to masters, to doctorates. You are the chosen ones. You are the leaders. You are the courageous, because you've got resilience. And doing all of that in a year like 2020, I salute you. You will be etched into my po. I got the call to come back after what was meant to be a 12-year little stint. It was a 12-month stint. It was 18 months later. Get on the plane. Somehow some message got to me somewhere, or else your cousins are coming to find you, those same cousins. My sister had her first baby, Anioriwea, who is also in the audience today, which is just wonderful, and that's what brought me home. And I came here. I came here to that moment where Te Repowai sung to us. It's her voice called my tupuna on, as well as Po Temura dancing his waiwai pikare along this atia. That was the next stage of how I got to be. I was quite naughty here at Victoria, at Herenga Waka. I used to work a lot, and so I'd always sneak in. I was trying to get somebody to always give me their notes. There was stuff going on. But that's what you did. You built whanaungatanga. I took the strong advice of my brother, his advice around pubs and time. And so we'd spend a lot of time down at what was called the dungeon back at the day. If it was still here, you would have seen us etched under a table, carving into somebody else's po. Stephen and Tina were here. Those types of things. But that's what makes this part rich of your journey. You do all of this whilst trying to grow up. You do all of this learning whilst trying to understand who you're going to be. Well, gosh, I want to be like you when I grow up. You're just inspiring. You're so amazing, listening to those degrees that were called out. Whether you're a triplet. Who knew that there was a triplet in this midst graduating with his degree? That's a phenomenal effort, whānau. It's huge, and it's a massive commitment to all of that. After Te Herenga Waka, I went on to Massey University to complete my degree because my sister had started her first business, and we needed to down the tools to go and help. She was the first Māori chartered accountancy practice in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Bloody amazing. That is phenomenal stuff. That's called some deep chiselling on that po. And she's got some muckle scars to prove it along the journey. It wasn't an easy time, but we did it. After that, and so I now have the privilege of sitting on Massey University's board. So mai te kununga ki purihoro, kia koutou, te Herenga Waka, nei rā te mihi. So it's wonderful to come back here. And I didn't wear blue because it was Massey. I didn't even wear it because it was national. I'm totally Māori Pāti hard. But I come here with the biggest and bluest royal hearts for all of you. This heart, she is pretty brown on the inside. There's no doubt about that. So again, that was one of my firsts, again, that stood there when my sister opened her business and we went on. So that was Pariaro. We must talk about these things because if we don't, they get forgotten because there is so much going on in the world right now. After Pariaro, I went to work for the first Māori investment firm in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Another big etch on my po. I did meet a handsome man. We did have 4 babies. He was one of the guys that worked at that particular industry. We were a team of probably 5 at the time. But Lake Taupo Forest Trust, so kia ora tū wharetoa, Lake Taupo Forest Trust has had its first felling of trees. So when you're driving into Taupo on the southern side, you can see all those big, beautiful forests. Well, that was a Crown relationship, and it was the first lot of trees that finally the trust or Ngāti Tū Wharetoa or those peoples owned. And so that was a windfall of $1 million worth of cash, circa. And so rather than put that in the bank and let somebody else manage it, the smarts of who the guy I married, Tim Wera Hall, they established their own internal treasury function. And so that has then gone on to be a multi-$100 million entity just because people worked out that we needed to have this knowledge. Another first, another etch on my po. I ended up becoming CEO of that entity, the first Māori woman to stand at the helm of that for Ngāti Tū Wharetoa. It was a wonderful tribute and a wonderful honour but I felt I could do the task because I had 4 tūwharetoa piepi who also went to Te Kura Kaupapa Māori o Whakarewe Te Reo. Tēnā koutou. Whakatupurua mano, always, all day. And that was a little bit about coming up to that journey, that we were also part of what was establishing what is now Te Wānanga o Raukawa. We were whakatupurua mano. We were that generation of kids who had to sacrifice one holiday every year, 1 week every holiday, and we had to go into immersion hui and go all around Aotearoa to make sure that we could do what was right, maintain our paipai, all of our paipai whenever it was needed. Whanaungatanga, it is everything. Whakapapa, it rules my world. So coming back, at Massey, finished my degree and went on to CEO, and then I never ever thought I would work for the government. I'm a treaty baby, I'm a treaty settlements baby. We were the fighters, we were the ones taking back what was ours, and there is many of us who do different parts of all of that. First wave was all the lawyers, so we grew lawyers here. We needed them, we had to have them in all the places. I was second wave, I was the accountants, because there was money coming in, so we needed to work out what to do with it. Then there was investments, then there was other, and then we've got the things that make the most difference to everything, the social services, because impact and social impact, we've learned this year, if we haven't learned it before, it's all about us, it's all about the people, it's all about te akina te whakapapa. It's all about those babies that are crying. I love it, it brings joy to our heart, it reminds us about what happens and why we're here to do these things. So then I went to Stanford University in 2013 it was. There was this regime that was being established on how to meet the trajectory targets of the business growth agenda for New Zealand. How were we going to make sure that New Zealand was going to do its thing? So in 2012, they sent up a lot of business leaders up there. They were CEOs or chairmen of different entities, and predominantly primary industries across New Zealand, up to Stanford. And they worked out, we can do this, we can do that, and we can design think this up, and we can design think that. But it was actually, we need $630 billion foreign direct investment to come back here to New Zealand. That's a big number. And they kind of looked around and said, how are we going to do that? And then somebody piped up, there was 1 Māori in that rōpū, possibly 2, but 1 active Māori, and said, you need to talk to Māori. And it was really another first, it was another etch on the po of changing the cards. Dr. Riri Ellis and I had the honour of going up to Stanford that year, and we realised we don't need anybody else to talk about our stuff. We need to take our destiny into our own hands. But we soon realised that this was a bigger kaupapa, bigger than all of us. And we realised that you needed to build partnerships. And what do we do best? We build partnerships. We are the best partner builders. Haramai, come into Aotearoa, New Zealand, stay with us, put your tent up in the backyard kind of scenario. We are the best partners, but we've got to be smarter at choosing the partners that we want to partner with. And so that was the turning of the cards for me. And I realised at that point that, if you're not on the Waka, and if you're not in the right seat on the Waka, how are you ever going to influence change for people? And so that was my journey, and realising when NZT came knocking, Te Taurapa Tūhono, I decided that was the time where I could, I could deal with people's money, I could process it in the background, go to the accountants, I could deal with people's investments, I could grow balance sheets all day, every day, for many, many iwi across the motu. That was no problem, but I couldn't see the impact that was having on our whānau. And so to go and work in New Zealand's government's arm that helps support Māori or exporters, that was a really big calling for me, because that was real. The other piece of that was real was that there was only 2 Māori exporters on the books at the time. That was not real. So we needed to go in and make change, because that was going to be where we played. We own the land, we own those assets, that awa, that moana, those ika, they belong to our people. And so if we weren't in control of where it was going to land, well then it was obviously going to go somewhere that might not have been at the best interest of ourselves. Carving that po, keep on carving, keep on carving. It's a selfless task sometimes that you have to do it. but it will give you the greatest satisfaction when you do those things right. On that journey, I learnt, other than being at Hatohoepa in the sisterhood, other than being in Kuku, where I was one of the few women actually of my age, I built a different type of sisterhood, and it came out of Stanford University. And that was our Māori cohort of business leaders that were there. So I want to acknowledge all of these Māori women and call it out again, just so that we remember. So firstly, my sister, Fiona Wilson, just like to applaud her for being entrepreneurial, carving the track, doing things differently when people said you couldn't. You know, having those chips on your shoulders and just dusting them off. Those bags are heavy. Those suitcases, you know what it feels like for you here and now. Those chocolates too look pretty heavy there, bro. You okay? You know? Okay. He's doing the trick with, oh yeah, I'm listening fire with my eyes closed. I'll spice it up. Here we go. But my sister, actually, I'm going to shout it out first and foremost. My mum, Yvonne Wehepeihana Wilson, she is in the crowd, the biggest inspiration. I cry in the ads, so I might cry, so just sorry about that. My Nanny Carol is here. My nieces are here. They are my inspiration. My daughter, Arihia, she is mine. I'm going to call out another Raukawa sister, Rachel Taulale. She is the CEO of Kono, New Zealand's largest food and beverage, 100% Māori owned, Waka Incorporation, tēnā koutou. Karenza Johnson also works for Wakatu. Liana Potu from Te Atiawa, another one of my great friends. We all cut our track here at Te Herenga Waka. These are what it looks like. They're all at the top of their game, business leaders for Aotearoa. Charlotte Severn, the first woman Māori trustee ever. Tēnā koe, Charlotte. Juliette Tainui Hernandez, Naitahu, came back. She is the Deputy Governor of the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. She just had her pōwhiri a couple of weeks ago. Tēnā koe, Juliette. Little did you know that Adrian Orr is an Irish islander from Rarotonga. He is also whakatōhea. The world is changing. Our poes are being carved. Kiritahana, another St. Joe's sister that was there with us. Liz Tiamo, entrepreneur, worked in NZTE for 15 plus years in the diplomatic space, and she now heads up Miro, the first emerging entrepreneurial Māori business that takes whenua, it takes people, it takes IP, and we grow the world's best berries. Māori woman. Rangi Maria Hunia, who's also at the top of her game. She's at Ngāti Whātua Ki Ōrākei. Social impact is all that they think about, the decisions they make, the things that will do for their people. Linnell Tuffrey Huria, the most adept IP lawyer from a cultural perspective. Y262, you want to know anything, you go talk to her. It's amazing. Megan Tapsell, kia ora Tapsell whānau. Megan Tapsell, another St. Joe's sister of ours, and she is the head of tech for the Pacific for ANZ Bank, the largest bank in New Zealand. She's also Ngāti Raukua, they're quite clever folks down there. Reria Te Kanua, well, she was always going to be great. Her nanny was Eva Rickard. There was nothing that, but she heads up Māori business at KPMG, one of the most pronounced, biggest business consultancies in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Many of you potentially will cross paths there. Fiona Cassidy. Have any of you seen the movie Soldiers Without Guns? Well, that was Fiona Cassidy. When they went into Bougainville, they took this squadron of people, but it was led through cultural values. That was the only way that they resolved that. Fiona Cassidy was at the heart of that. Dr. Riri Alice, always very, very proud of her. Te Rīpōai Higgins, amazing. Every day, look at her. Look how beautiful this wahine is. I can say that just so she won't ground me later. But no, Te Rīpōai, thank you. From a mama at Hatohoepa, and through another mama that you've been here today, to the mama of Aotearoa, tēnā koe te whaia. And I'm going to call it out, Professor Rawania Higgins. She will hate me for saying that, in the sense that she's like, oh, get on with it already. But we must call it out. Because what happened this year was there was a moment where we had 1 million people speaking Te Reo Māori. We can do this, Rawania. You changed the world. your po is looking pretty bloody amazing. I hope you can edit that for the, all my little innuendos. Gosh, there are more. We've got Nanaia Mahuta, first Māori woman at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Georgina Kingi, she moulded all of us in some way, shape or form. I think I've got the scars on my legs to prove it, but that was what it took. It took the challenge. So she is the principal of Hatahoipa. Then we've got the dames, Dame Georgina Te Huhu, Dame Georgina Bayer, for gender diversity. It all started there. Imagine what they had to go through. Dame Te Ātairangi Kahu, she inspires me to no nth of what she had to go to. Dame Nada Glavish, calling out kia ora, taking the hit for it, and then look at it today. So she's still here, and she is so proud because 1 million Māori speakers in that moment in time. Dame Eva Rickard, not one more piece of land was ever going to be taken under her watch. And of course, the mother of all mothers, Dame Whenekupa. It is just amazing that we're here today to do all of that. The things that you've experienced in your lifetime are the sorries. So not only has 2020 been a year of disruption as we've continued to carve our po, disruption to the world. Let's just be really clear about that. It was disruption to the world. To my sister over here from Brazil, we've got our staff who are up there at New Zealand Training Enterprise. They've been in lockdown for 9 months. 9 months I've been working from home. So when we grumble, have a little spare thought for what else is happening out there. We are lucky. This is a great place, Aotearoa New Zealand. It doesn't mean we have to just sit there and let those things happen. We've got to be better at it, but we are lucky. We are the lucky ones. What else happens this year in the carvings of first? Well, Moko Kauai and Mataora walk the halls of Parliament. That is amazing. Who would have ever thought that 5 years ago, 2 years ago? It's amazing stuff. We all watched a heck of a lot of Netflix this year, right? The Ozarks, Last Dance. Who would have thought we would have all watched The Tiger King? Oh my God, that changed my world forever. I cannot get it out of my head. If you haven't watched it, it's probably worth a go. It's one of those things. So just in wrapping up, again, just remember the firsts. Stuff. You said sorry this year. Well, your sorry is actually not going to be good enough. Let's just be really clear about that. Sorry doesn't change the hurt or the mamae, but it is a sorry and it's a starting place. We can build on that. We can work with that. It's what you do next. And so that for you is a message for you. It's what you do next. How do you carve your po? We've talked about COVID, climate change. That guy, Donald Trump, what's he about? It's definite, it's real, and we've got to do things differently. We've got to work on business that makes a difference. And so agencies like mine have to start to think about, well, should I really work with that business that fertilises everything on the ground, all that stuff leaches into our others, that affects our tuna, that goes on the plate for my kuia at the Marae? Should we be working with them? No, we shouldn't. We need to enforce a change. Ruakinana, I'm going to call that one out anyway, even though it happened last year. But that happened, the pardoning of our people. It doesn't take away the mamae or the hurt, but it's the next step forward. Māori Party are back. Someone's already mentioned that in the pōwhiri. We had the Raukawa AGM. This is big deal. This is big news because we got our first Māori woman chair. Many other iwi have done that before, but when you do those types of catalytic changes, it makes a difference. That's taken over from a chair that's been there for 10 plus years. Imagine what that energy would look like now. Don't be afraid of change. Don't let other people's change and fear be the things that are not that important for you. So when you're carving your po and you're thinking about the next steps, think about what impact you're going to make. Think about the 7 generations that are going to talk about you after that. Think about how you're going to be your best ancestor, be your best self. Think about how you give it back, how you take a +1, 10, 20 on the Waka with you. When you got those scholarships and you deserve them, Think about what you're going to contribute to, the things that are important to you. Think about those babies and what we don't want them to have to go through, the struggles that you've done. So think about trying to get rid of 2-minute noodles because everyone's eaten far too many of them through your university years. But be your best Māori self tomorrow. Be your best Māori self today. Be your best Māori self all the time. And don't ever be ashamed of it. It's got purpose, it's got whakapapa, and it's got mana. And that is you. When I look at you, I'm inspired. My po, I can see what it's going to look like after crossing paths with you all. And I can't help but want to share this last piece before they cut the mic off, because somebody's probably flashing a big light at me. But if you give me 1 second, I'll find it. More importantly, as a mum, I wanted to write this for my children. Oh, I took a lot of photos, so I'm having to scroll through them. It's come out quite fast. 1 second. Hold. Oh. Technology error. User error. 1 second. Oh, I might have to flag it because I can't get there fast enough. Anyway, hold on. Way too many photos today. Oh, goodness me, I cannot find it. Oh, so it's not meant to occur today. But I just want to shout this out to you, to all of you. When you wear these korowai, whether they're on the outside or the inside, when you wear those taonga that have been bequeathed and gifted upon you, wear them with pride. Wear your degrees with pride. You now start your real life education. Don't be in a hurry. Take time, breathe, celebrate, look at each other, because as I recounted all of those names that I said and who I'm proud of and all those women, it happened here. You are each other's futures, so enjoy on that. Tēnā koutou, kia ora koutou katoa. Oh, kia ora. And just in my final depart as they make their way back to the seats, this has been the greatest privilege, like I said before. This time next week, I jump on a plane with my whānau. We head up to Taiwan to take up the first Māori woman posted to Taiwan as Trade Commissioner of New Zealand. So thank you, Yaku Rangatira. I'm so privileged. I'm so happy I came. What a great way to end my time here in Aotearoa, New Zealand with you. Kia ora.
Tēnā koe Tina, tēnā koe Ngāti Tū Korehe, I tēnei apa. Nā reira, my kupu. It is a tradition at this university that the last of the formal speeches is given by one of our newest graduates. Hoi anō, the address given on behalf of all the graduates is delivered by a student who stood out in their time at the Herenga Waka, by exemplifying the qualities we seek to instill in our graduates. Today's address will be given by Eru Kapakingi. Nā puhi ki whaingaroa, nā te kahu ki whaingaroa, te au pauri, te whanoa apanui Waikato. Eru has completed a Bachelor of Laws with honours and a Bachelor of Arts, and as mentioned in his bio, has been working at the Auckland High Court as a judge's clerk. Hara mai, Eru. Hau.
Arui, tahia, kia he mua ki te kākōkā, kia he rea mai tana kāwaukoro ki. Kia tātaki mai roto i te pūkoro, whaikaro, te kuaka, he kuaka mā rangaranga, ko tahina he te manu kātau ki te tāhuna o te mātauranga, anei ko tai mai nei, anei ko tai mai nei, anei ko tai mai nei. O tira, e te marae, e mihi atu ana. Ka hore a hau mo te tōai noihoi ngā kōrero, kua herea kēhia ki te tumu heranga whakaro e tū nei. Hoi nō tāku, he mihi ki te tapu o te reo kuia, i tā wharau i tā tātou whakaeke marae i te ata nei. O tira, e ngā whakarua kākā o te pai tapu a ruka, i whakau i te ihi o tā ukioki, ki roto ki tēnei hui ngā tangata, i te ata nei, tēnā rā koutou. E taku whare, pupu i mai ana te hau, pakuru mai ana te haupū keri. Engari, e kore koe e hinga. E tū i te tū a te kahi katea, he mate ngā tangata te utu e tū nei koe, ana, ko o pau ki te whenua me te rangi mo te ake tonu atu. O ti rā, e ngā whakakanohi whakapapa o tēnā, e ngā manuhiri tuārangi nau mai rā. Nau mai rā ki tēnei rā, e hara no mātou ko ngā mea kua pōtaingia i te ata nei, engari, no koutou ke. E tika ana te kōrero, nā koutou ke mātou i tangatai. I want to acknowledge with great vigour the whānau constituents here today. It seems a cliché, and perhaps even goes without saying, that without you, these colleagues of mine and I would not be here. Hoi no, he pono tonu te pono. The truth is but the truth. I also want to make clear that I'm not here today to acknowledge mine or the achievements of my fellow graduates here. My task here today is instead to challenge them and myself to use our new positions of privilege and power for the good of te iwi Māori and te ao whānau. Anei e tahi kupu oha ki a te ruki kawiti ki tōna whānau. Nāna te kōrero, i te pakanga hau ki te atua i te pō, he oi ki hai au I mate rawa. Nō reira, takahi atu rā te riri ki raro ki o koutou waiwai. I recite some of the stirring words of Te Ruki Kawiti, which he shared with his family before he passed. I battled against the god of the night, a metaphor which he used for Pākehā colonial power, yet I did not perish. So, I urge you to tread the path of war beneath your feet. Those words are as relevant now as they were when Kawiti first uttered them over 100 years ago. He made his remarks because he predicted a change to the world he and his people knew was upon them. And he therefore carved out those words to incite courage and fearlessness within his own. Change, as we know, can be a fear-provoking prospect. And the world around us is indeed changing. But it is up to us how we respond to such change. The latest global pandemic has been perhaps one of the most pertinent indicators of that change, shining a light on inequity and the desperate need to revamp the slanted system around us, but also shining a positive light on the unwavering resilience of Māori when it comes to anything that may pose a threat to our survival. We have also seen positive indications of change. Te reo Māori has become somewhat cool. Thousands Māori and non-Māori alike have marched and protested over the theft and retention of whenua Māori by the Crown. And the Māori population is growing in both number and capacity. Change is inevitable e hoa mā, and revolution is almost certain. But what that change and revolution looks like and what may come of it is up to us. All of us here today are the only ones in the way of our own liberation, just as we are the only ones who will lead the way. So my question to us all, my wero to us all,
in the great battle for mana Māori endured by our past lives, which we now confront? Will we run for the hills, or will we do as our tupuna did and continue to fight into the carved trenches of whenua beneath our feet? E Māori mā, ahau e mea nei kia rite mai tātou. He huri ngā nui te haere mai nei, he pakanga nui te haere ake ne. Ko ngā pū mā te ope taua, mā te ope taura, he kupu, he kōrero. Ko ngā hāmanu e paku ai te riri, he manawa nui, he ata mai, ka mutu, he whakapono ki a tātou anu. Ko te marae atu, he whānui, he whāroa, he mea e karaputi kaua nei a tātou, ka pika toana te whenua me te rangi. Ko te haki e rere nei ko tō tātou mana Māori e. My fellow Māori, I announce here today that we must be prepared because the revolution is coming and war is among us. The weapons with which we will fight are not guns or taiaha, but the written and spoken word. The ammunition which will sustain the battle will instead be our passion, intellect, and absolute self-belief. The field upon which we will battle is vast and wide and surrounds us infinitely. The land and the sky are enclosed by its reach, and the flag which flies is that of our mana Māori. So, I runga I tēnā, I urge us, one and all, to march on into the future that awaits us, without fear nor kōta, and with confidence in our great Māori selves. I mea I mua nei, he mate tangata te utu e tū nei te whare, ana he pērā no e tū nei tātou. Nō reira, Māori mā, mahi a te mahi, kei maumau. Māku anō, e whakataua ki konei, ka pakanga tātou ki te atua I te pō, he oi, e kore tātou e mate rawa. Nō reira, takahi atu rā te riri, ki raro ki o tātou waiwai, haumi e, hui e, tai ki e. Ana, hei ki naki ake I tēnei kōrero aku, he ngeri te haere ake nei. Ko te ngeri nei, I aku poe sara mai. Ko te ngeri nei, he ngeri puta I te pakanga o Haiawai. Hei whakanui te toa I taua pakanga Māori mā. E mea taki, e te ruki kawisi mā, e pene taui mā, e hone heke mā. E whakanui te rā toa I taua pakanga. E te whakaarotanga ake kāre pēr Māori ana e tika ana rā nei, kia hakaina tātou e tātou anō, no reira e taku whare anei tō haka. E te kawau māra! Tōro naki! Ai mea ui tutu e te tairiri! Ai a tau ka pataka! Pua pāra I te patiki te hīnei alo! Whakaranga koe! Kāti! E te mate ua ua! E te mate māro! Rai nā o kia! Te oiwa te ua ua! Kei a kuringa! E raumai taupako! E kamau! O tata eka! We don't need to die! Uteia! Ka whapai!
Tēnā koe eru, tēnā koutou tāne mā. Today you have celebrated as graduates of Te Herenga Waka, Victoria University of Wellington. Oh, wena. Yeah. Oh. Sorry. Me tuia. Oh. Oh, it is. It's you. Yeah. I was like, see.
You're enjoying it so much. Kia ora, Eru. Thank you. Congratulations on your achievements, and thank you for your address and the challenge you've laid out for all your colleagues here today and for everybody, and we wish you all the best. Graduates, today you've celebrated as the latest graduates of Te Herenga Waka, Victoria University of Wellington. Although you may have completed your formal association with this university as a student, you are now warmly welcomed as a valued member of the university's alumni community. This is a great university with more than 120 years of scholarship. Throughout your future career or further study, I'm sure you will meet many others who will tell you proudly they have also studied here. We look forward to staying in touch with you and hearing of your future successes. Would everyone now please be upstanding for our final act of this graduation celebration.
Tātu e nei tauira ki te whai ao, ki te ao māwana, hauni e, hui e. Hai ki e. Makaru mō rā e tāne, ki te ātu rewa ki te kūkena, ki te wānanga, ki te tāura, ki te tauira. I poe a i te take tēnei te tū e ko whakaurua tia ke ngā maunga tapuruti mō te rangi, ko tawhito te rangi. Tā reo mai ko te tapuna te mana, ko te mauri o ngā tua. E ko hongo mai noi o ngā tua kore. Ka whakatapina mai ki tēnei ka kia mātia te roa ki runga ki tēnei papa. Te papa tāta ki no whatiruku, no whatirangi. Tēnā, whakamana kia tū ki te rangi. Uhi, wero, tau mai te Māori. Haumi e, hui e. Hai ki e.
E hine wai roto e tamaka huari ki no koutou tēnei rā. Au ki asura ki o koutou whānau e pareanga painga ki te ao whānui e. Kātou.
Now's my turn. Ina hokai tau. A koe nei ka karangahi a tātou ki te kai. We'd like to ask whānau and friends to make their way to Te Tukiarata foyer, which is over the road, as we have another graduation ceremony starting soon. But you'll have ushers will be on hand to guide the way. The whare will not be available to take photos in there, but there will be a space at Te Tukiarata for you to take whānau photos. More than welcome to return later this afternoon for our second ceremony, or to take photos after the next graduation ceremony. Hoi anō, kei aku nui, kei aku rahi, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.